Good Thursday morning. It's Valerie, and I am coming to you from a newly organized soap room, um, trying a new angle. And a couple of ladies responded and said whatever way felt comfortable. And one lady suggested that she preferred the to the left, filming to my left. So that's the angle I'm going to try today. And today I am doing what I called, when I made it back in September or October, I called it winter calendula because, well, marigolds aren't, a winter flower, but um, I put them in little snowflake molds, and they were one of the first ones to sell out during my winter open house. So I'm restocking those today, and I'm using um, a tea with my calendula and chamomile, and in this tea has my mulberry silk, and you can see pretty yellowy color, rich color. um, I'm not going to be using any color. It's going to be its own natural color. um, I am adding 3 tablespoons of honey after the cook because I want it to have a lot of honey in it, maybe get a naturally sweet smell. I thought about not scenting it, simply because I do need to add another one to my line with no scent, but I'm going to do a different one for that. So today I'm using the same blend that I used back in September, October, whenever it was that I did it. It's an EO blend of, it's called Juicy, and it uses Litsea, lime, lemon, orange, and grapefruit. And it smells delicious. So my oils are ready, and so is my lye. My oils, when I checked them last, were at 162, and my crock pot is off because they're still at 162. And my lye is at 178. So I'm going to go ahead and mix them. I also have in here my Kaolin Clay and Colloidal Oatmeal, and of course my silk is in here in my lye solution. I also added about an ounce of aloe vera juice in my lye solution this day. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this a quick blend to mix up the colloidal oatmeal and kaolin. I also, in my essential oil blend, added another tablespoon of kaolin clay, hoping to help anchor the scent. I'm experimenting with that more lately. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mix these two together. And I have my heated coconut and rice milk over here. I'm going to add an ounce while I'm bringing it to trace, and save 2 ounces for after the cook. Sometimes I forget that, and if I leave it over on the stove, I'll forget. So I made sure that I kept it right here. I also added like an outdoor light, hoping that, because I soap in my basement, it's dark, so I'm hoping that this is going to make it easier for you to see the true colors. such a pretty buttery color. I'm going to bring it to at least a medium trace, and we're already at a thin. I just didn't want this to be a very hot cook today. Maybe a little slower today. You know, I've noticed, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but my granddaughters, there was a thing going on. Let me finish this and I'll finish the story. I don't know, a year or so ago, there was something going, a lot of people were doing the floating soap. They call it float or whatever. Well, I never did that because all of my soap floats, except for my salt bars. And I didn't realize that it was because the longer you blend, you stick blend, I guess it's the more air that gets in it. I can't remember exactly what I read about it, but all of my soap floats. In fact, one day I just took things to a light trace when I did my cold process, and when it was ready to use, I put it in the tub and it sunk. And my granddaughter's like, "Nana, what's wrong with your soap? It's not floating. I can't find it." And I just thought that was so funny because kids notice. So anyway, I just thought that was a little bit funny. My granddaughter and her mommy are making the slow transition from our house to their house. They've been here for 7 months. And I'll tell you, I am really dreading them leaving, especially my granddaughter. You know, we lost one grandchild that we'll never see here on this earth again. But I have focused so much of my attention in caring for my granddaughter, my surviving granddaughter, that it's going to be like losing her, even though she just lives right down the road. So that's something I'm having to try and prepare myself for, and I'm not doing very well with it. They are gone. She was a little anxious about it because she knows her mommy's not 100%, but yet she is doing much, much better. And of course, she just had surgery, my granddaughter, a couple of weeks ago, and but anyway, they're making the slow transition. You're spending several hours down there at a time to get her, you know, acclimated back to being in her home without her sister. Those two did everything together. They ate dinner together, they rode to school together, they rode home together, they slept together, they took baths together, they fought together. everything they did was together, and I just really worry. But anyway, that's just something that, so you're probably going to be seeing more of me. I've gotten to where, although I don't like to be on the camera to be seen, I do enjoy conversing with you all and sharing life with you all, not just soap, but life. And so I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes and see if anything happens. Like I said, I just turned this back on to low because I do want this to be a slower cook. And if anything happens before the 5 minutes, I will bring you back. Okay, it's been just about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I'm sorry. And it is starting to bubble up. So I'm gonna just see how far this will go, and I don't need to, jump on this right away. And stir it down, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off. And I just love that creamy, buttery color. I don't think I told you my recipe today. I'm using Castor, coconut, Kokum Butter, olive oil, palm oil, and Rice Bran Oil. I'm using 12% Castor and 15% coconut, 10% Kokum, 30% olive, 23% palm oil, and 10% rice bran. And I'm going to be superfatting with some additional Kokum butter and a little bit of apricot kernel. So wasn't a big deal, and doesn't appear to be separating that much, maybe a little. So I'm mixing up just in case I change my mind and the color's not as vibrant or noticeable as I like. I am going to mix up some lemon peel, just because sometimes it'll add a really nice yellowy color. I also have some, I don't really need this to be exfoliating, and lemon peel I don't find to be overly scratchy. I don't find it to be scratchy at all. So I may add this, but then now that I'm looking at it, I forgot that I have some infused turmeric over here. Hang on a second. Yeah, this yellow, it's in almond oil, so I may add that for some color and help with the super fat as well. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, nothing much really happened. I just gave it a good stir, and it's almost Vaseline. We're at 206 temperature wise. I removed it from the cooking unit. And we are, like I said, almost at Vaseline. And I did decide midstream to do away with the lemon peel, and I'm going to be superfatting with the Kokum Butter and the turmeric, almond oil. It has a really pretty yellow color. And also my essential oils have a little bit of a yellow color. So that's all I'm going to use for color. I'm just going to let it be what it is. And I love calendula, I love chamomile, and I love honey. So I'm just going to be fine with the naturalness of these additives. And I'm going to take out a little bit to do my zap test, because I do think it is about done. Scrape down my sides. My hot water, and it's a very fine mist. Cover it back up. Get rid of these. This is the drawer I keep all of my stick blenders and pot holders and necessary things in. And I'm going to come over this way so that I can do whatever I'm going to be doing, adding my additives and things to, maybe, hopefully you'll be in the camera. Move my light back. Yeah, we're at pretty Vaseline. Okay. If I come back and this is green again, I'm really going to lose it. So I'm going to grab my additives. Okay, we are completely neutral. No zap. And so the first thing I'm going to add, I just went ahead and brought my hot pan of water over here. I feel like I have more working area now. I probably do. And this is the container that I measure all of my oils out when I first, when I measure my oils for my batch. And I started using this just because, I'm thinking, well, it's one less dish I have to worry about cleaning. And then I thought, well, it's got, usually castor oil is the last oil I add. So it has those oils, maybe a little residue, so what's it going to hurt to use that? So that's why I'm using that great big pitcher for such a small amount of superfat. It's a method to my madness. And like I said, that was my infused almond oil. And the next thing I'm going to add is my yogurt. And I like adding my yogurt next because I think it helps, well, number one, it helps to thin things down, but it also helps to cool things down so I can proceed on a little sooner for my adding my honey. And this is room temperature, but it's actually still a little bit cool, I'm sure. and it's plain yogurt. It's 1 tablespoon per pound of oil, and this is a 2-pound batch. And I mix that in really well to keep the little pieces of yogurt from cooking. It says I'm at 168. I don't know that I trust that, but. And now this is my the rest of my coconut and rice milk that I had left, which was deducted from the beginning of the formula, the liquid. It called for 11.40 ounces of liquid. So I withheld 3 ounces. And I added a little at a time to keep it from cooking, because this is still very hot, this crock. $164. Okay, this is my 3 tablespoons of raw honey, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of sodium lactate. Love honey in any shape or form. How smooth that is. It just smooths things right out. $159. So now I am going to, and look at the color of my essential oils, because they're all citrusy. And I do have, like I said, a tablespoon of Kaolin Clay in here. And I'm going to go ahead and pour it in, because my temperature is more than cool enough. May thicken up a little bit, and I'm going to be pouring these in individual molds. Okay, I'm going to cover this back up and get rid of this stuff and go and get my molds that have been heating, and see you in just a minute. Okay. Okay, I'm back, and I did decide I want a little bit more of a richer color. So I'm going to use a little bit of Annatto seed, um, just a little bit, to give it a little bit of oomph. And I'm mixing it with a little bit more of the almond oil. And I'm just going to do a little bit because I don't want to get too orangey, although calendula can be orange. But I want this to be more of a yellow. So I'm mixing that, and I've got it pretty smoothly. I don't know, I just want a little bit more. So I hope I'm not making a mistake. I'm just going to start small. A little bit more. Last bit. And that was not even a half of a teaspoon of Annatto powder from Ann George. Probably what I should have done to give it a little bit of pretty swirl was to separate some off and then do an in the pot swirl to give it a little bit, but that's okay. I'm happy. This is pretty. Okay. Bring my molds. Might have to move things around a little bit. Not that this is a big deal, you know, you're just pouring in molds. And I'm just gonna scoop. Try to be neat about it, but I'm not the neatest soaper in the world. And then really this is all I'm doing, is just filling up molds, so I won't bore you with that. I'm gonna do this one and I have one more, and I'll see you later on when after I unmold them. Thanks for watching. Hey, I thought I would bring you back and show you the lather from this Calendula and Chamomile and Honey soap, and how gorgeous it is. It just, and the smell is just amazing. It's thick and dense and creamy, and that's just with a little bit. And that comes from a lot of things. You know, it comes from the honey, it comes from the coconut milk, the aloe vera juice, the apple cider vinegar. They all contribute but I now see why people really love this one, and you know, it's sold out really quickly, and I've had several requests for it to come back. So it will be a regular. Um, I don't hesitate anymore about adding more honey than 1 tablespoon per pound. Um, Especially, you know, I don't always use all of the water that it calls for, especially if I'm not using coloring. So, you know, I don't have a problem adding another tablespoon or two of honey, especially with results like this. I'm one of those that thinks that your soap needs to bubble and be creamy, and this formula definitely gives me that. So I just wanted to show you why I love it, and I'll see you soon.